Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors. Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, didn't cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, today we have our friend, State Senator Mary Kunesh on, and then later in the show we have Bob Blake from Red Lake. I always like to say that, the Solar Bear with the Solar News. Welcome, State Senator Mary Kunesh, and happy MLK Day.
Happy, everybody. Happy MLK Day to all of you as well. Most people are home today. It is a cold, bitter day in Minnesota. And so it actually is, it's a good day to stay home and relax.
Yeah, you always support the community, and you were out for Martin Luther King Day today, and always great to see that, you know, you're out there supporting our community.
Yeah, schools are closed. Business, a lot of the businesses like banks and post offices and things like that are closed. But over the years, I have always been invited to attend different events in our community. We used to have a theological school right over here in my district, and every MLK Day, they would have a breakfast and they'd invite people, the public in, and we would listen and view an event that happened downtown Minneapolis, a big breakfast. Well, that they've since closed, and it's changed into a charter school down there But this morning I went over to St. Paul to one of our theaters, and the governor was hosting an event there. I think the theme this year was Echoes of Unity, One Dream, One Minnesota. And it was wonderful. It was really great. It opened up with drummers, which was always lovely, kind of a nod to our Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan's heritage and my heritage and many, many, many Minnesota's heritage. And then went into talking about and learning about some of the African-American leaders in our state and the incredible work that they do around equity and unity, and making sure that not only their communities, but the communities across Minnesota have the resources and the information that they need. One was an African-American farmer who's really working for food sovereignty, just like our own sous chef and so many others. Susan Day, I'm trying to think of all the folks over at Little Earth that run the farms over there and get all that fresh produce to our communities. So it's really interesting. And he made a statement, and I wish I could remember the exact number, but African-American Black farmers and probably Native farmers as well, their farms have been diminished by thousands, hundreds of thousands of acres over the years. And it's been really cool at the legislature. I've been able to work with some of these farmers to bring back farmers of color. I sit on the Ag Committee, and so we get to hear from them and the cool things that they are doing and what kind of support systems they help put in place so that we can get land back to them as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, one of the things too, we know that the Twin Cities and the state of Minnesota is under siege, and I know you've been out checking out our community, and you've been on Franklin Avenue where there's been a lot of sightings of ICE. How are you holding up, and what are you seeing out there?
I'm holding up. We all have to hold each other up, I guess, is the way to do it. And I'm really so proud of my community that I represent. I've got 6 municipalities that are under my jurisdiction, and every single one of them have incredible community groups that are organizing to not only get the resources to individual families and individuals to ensure that they're going to be okay, but out watching and being citizen observers and recording what's happening, because a lot of folks across the country just don't understand the kind of violence that we are up against due to our federal government. We still have 3 Oglala members, relatives missing, and ICE is not, DHS is not being forthcoming. Got to see what we can do to put some pressure on getting them released as well. But it's not, it's the American Indian community. Yesterday, I went over to the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. The people in my community put together these incredible little kits. They're whistle kits, and they have Know Your Rights, and then they have a whistle in here, and they put thousands of these together. I think the first time they met, they had 6 people doing it. The next time it was 60. On Saturday, I went over to where they were meeting. There had to be 150 people there putting these together. And people from Chicago, you got yours. Excellent. There were folks that came up from Chicago who had just experienced the same thing. They brought all kinds of materials and were sitting there putting these all together. I said, can I just take a handful of these, a bunch of these? I'm going to head over to MIWRC. And the guy turns around, he says, here, take this. It was a garbage bag full of them.
Wow.
I know. And so I took those over there to MIWRC, and they put a few out, and they were gone in seconds. People coming through were taking them. They put more out. They took a few more, which is just what we want them to do. We want them to get that information into the people's hands. But I also was able to step over and greet the folks from the Standing Rock tribe, the nation that my family originated in.
Mm-hmm.
They were there to produce, and I think they're still there through today. So if you're a Standing Rock member, you can go over to MIWRC, and they will print you out and get you an actual tribal ID. But it was really nice to step over there. There were about 6 of them. They'd been down for a few days, and I happened to stop in at sort of a low time, but they said the day before, the first day they were open, they were busy. Mm-hmm. And so those are the kind of ways that folks are stepping up and making sure that our community have, and then over at Powwow Grounds, they've got that perpetual fire going, and they're also taking in donations of food and monies to make sure that that their communities as well have what they need to be safe.
Yeah, I love the fact that their American Indian movement and also Indigenous Protectors movement is walking the neighborhood, and a lot of that support. I know I've brought money over there and donated to the coffee shop where these young warriors can get a cup of coffee or a bagel or whatever else, fry bread, and show our appreciation to what they're doing for the community, which we only got a few seconds left here in this. I am just so honored and happy the way the community has been responding. It's been really amazing.
Phenomenal. We went to they had a memorial for Renee Good, the woman that was murdered. And it was, oh my gosh, it was heart-rending because so many people didn't know her. She's not Native. LGBTQ mom from Missouri, came up for a good life, and they all know what it's like to be. Yep.
Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio, and we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Aho, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here with our friend State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we're just talking about what's happening here in Minnesota right now. One of the things, State Senator, is we really know how important elections are. We talk about it all the time, but this is proof in the pudding, and we have a caucus coming up now. Let's talk a little bit about that and how important that is, and especially in this round of what's happening in the upside down world.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think it's important that we all start to get ready because we're just a few weeks out from precinct caucuses. Here in Minnesota, I believe it is February 4th, Tuesday. Is Tuesday, February 4th?
It's a third, right?
It's a
third.
Third.
Yeah.
February 3rd, across the state, we have our precinct caucuses, and we are seeing live the negative consequences of our voting, whether we are voting or not voting. By not voting, you're also, giving away your rights, your power to choose a leader that is going to, that should be looking out for your best interest and not trying to do anything else. And so here in Minnesota, we have precinct caucuses on Tuesday, February 3rd. And what that means is that your district, your Senate district, and you can look these things up online, meet, and usually you'll have like the A side and the B side because every senator has 2 House members. So 1 senator to 2 House members, and they're an A side and a B side. And the A side has their precinct caucus meetings, and the B side has theirs. And at these precinct caucuses, you will meet candidates that are running for office. Just know that these are your usual political affiliations. So the Dems have their own, the Republicans have their own. And that's where you will meet the candidates. There might be 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are vying for a position. This year in Minnesota, everyone is up for a re-election. The governor, and lieutenant governor, the AG, Attorney General, Secretary of State, senators, House members. So you'll find out information about them. They usually hop between all the different rooms. And then you're also able to bring up resolutions. That's ideas of how you think your political party should act around certain issues, whether it's like preserving the boundary waters, preserving wild rice, all of those sort of things. And you'll hear about them and get to vote on whether we should move those forward to the general platform. And then the most important thing is that you sign up to be to attend your district conference.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a delegate, you sign up to be a delegate, then you will have the voting right at our your Senate conference to finally cast your vote for who to endorse for a specific seat. And this is an easy way. It's a little time consuming, but it's an easy way to participate in your local government, in your state government. And then it will go on to the, eventually we'll have a statewide conference. But this is where we decide who we really want to represent us. It's not to say that you can't vote for other people down the road, but, when we think of our Indigenous rights, we haven't had the right to vote for very long. And as I've told you many times, there's plenty of people that don't realize that they can vote in these general elections and not just tribal elections.
Yeah, it's really important to go there too, because I believe if you do get the support that, say, from the Democratic Party, a lot of money comes that way immediately. And so to stay in the game or be in the game, you must come to these caucuses and you must vote for people that, fit your beliefs and thoughts
and values.
And people know who I'm going to be voting for, and it's just important to be there. We're at red alert again.
Yep. If you don't show up, somebody else is going to make all those decisions for you. And every voice really does matter. When we think about, the history of voting, get out the vote in Indian country, and the intimidation that would happen, the lack of information, all of those things. We're working really, really hard here in Minnesota to alleviate those kind of issues. And I think last year was the first time that we had like roving election sites, vehicles actually that went through different reservations and communities that had a lot of space and a lot of miles in order to ensure that people might be able to vote that way. And so I know I'm getting ready for it. I am running for re-election. You mentioned that oftentimes when you're endorsed, then dollars come to you. That's more at the higher level. But here in Minnesota, we have something called the political contribution, PCR, refund. So when you're doing your taxes, everyone, ask about the PCR option where you can check a box and say, yes, I want to, I think it's like you donate $1 or something like that to the political campaign refund. And then your candidate, whatever on the Democrat or the Republican side, they can access some dollars. And that was created here in Minnesota to sort of even the campaign expenditures. It is not cheap to run for office, and not many people have the money to fund it themselves. And so you hear this all over the place. We do rely on our constituents and our community to contribute towards our campaigns. And when you do that PCR, when you donate to a candidate, they can then refund whatever up to $75 in Minnesota of your donation. And so we're trying to make it as painless and as positive as we can to participate in campaigns and elections. And I have to say, I'm pretty proud of the way Minnesota is doing this.
Yeah, a lot to be proud of with Minnesota, and this past weekend too, we had a person that was put in jail for the January 6th that would came here with his 10 people, 12 people, and there was over 2,000 people pushing back at his rally to support ICE and the KKK, I guess, and he was shot down, and that's just amazing to see that our state is stepping up.
Yeah, we were all very nervous that this would turn into some kind of huge, almost violent escapade, and I think that's really what this administration wanted us to do, so that the President of the United States could pull the Insurrection Act card and be able to then basically control public safety or lack of public safety in Minnesota. And they weren't able to do that. It was an anti-immigrant, anti-Islamic rally. I mean, they came right out and said it. They were unabashed. And we've got lots of both of those groups here in Minnesota, and we appreciate them. We value them, and we are determined to protect them as best we can. And I just want to say, ironically, he kind of got squirreled up on a windowsill at the building. Yeah. And it was a black man. It was a couple black guys that stepped up and, parted the wave of people, let him go, let's get him out of here. He said he'll leave. I mean, he was scared out of his mind. And he had nobody there to protect him. He didn't have a crowd of his own people, like-minded. They didn't show up. They just didn't show up. They knew better. And then they finally got him out of there, got him onto a street where there was a car parked, and they shoved him in this car. Turns out it was a trans person that was in the car that drove him safely. So, the community that he seems to abhor and is so violent against were the ones that stepped up and said, we recognize you as a human being, as foul as you may be. But I guess that's just being Minnesota nice, right?
Yeah, and again, just so proud of Minnesotans for stepping up. It's been amazing to watch, and the people that are paying attention are really proud of Minnesotans, and we are too. And we're stepping up, and I'm just flabbergasted in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm getting emails and texts from people all over the country that I know, other legislators, other people that I know, people I don't even know, are reaching out and saying, hey, we really, really, really feel for you guys. We're praying that this ends soon.
Yeah, definitely. Well, a big Peeny State Senator Mary Kunesh, thanks for coming on Monday. I know usually your jam is Friday, but people love to listen to you, and I'm glad you had the capacity to come on during Martin Luther King Day, and also the weeks and days that Minnesota's fighting back, the orange one, and all the bad things that they're trying to come here. Hey, up next, we got Bob Lake from Red Lake. Thanks again, State Senator.
You bet. Wopilatonka.
Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Aho, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. I'm with our friend Bob Blake, at Solar Bear with the Solar News. Robert, I want to know how you're holding up. I know you're in the community. You see a lot of things, and you're going up to Red Lake, and you're going to all the other nations across the country. But here we're under siege, and I want to see how you're holding up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robert. Miigwech, brother. I appreciate that. It's been, I think, a lot of folks would agree across the Twin Cities, across Minnesota, that, this has been a very difficult time, I think, for all of us. And a lot of my concerns and worries are obviously with our relatives, right? But with our friends, right? In our communities that we live in. I live in a predominantly immigrant community on the east side of St. Paul. And, this has been a main focus of, what's been happening. And, I just want to say, Robert, that I've got such beautiful neighbors and cultures, and they have these food trucks right on Sundays over here, and they all line up, and it's like you literally could go like a walk across the world right in the parking lot, and it's so you see the families out in the summertime, and it's like we have all these different restaurants and all these small businesses that make up our community over here, and they're closed, Robert. They're closed. They're the places to go eat. They're closed, and it's just it makes my heart so sad to see that, and so I think the one thing that I've been trying to do is just help where I can, and I think that's really what I think all of us should continue to do, be outspoken. Remind people that what's happening here in Minnesota right now is not normal, should not be considered normal, and should not be, tolerated by any U.S. citizen, right? And right. So I think that we have a responsibility to speak out, to say when we feel like we are being targeted by, especially by this administration, by this government, right? By this. I want to say that this administration, very, very, importantly,
Yeah.
but it's not right the way United States citizens are being treated, and we need to continue to tell the world what is happening here, because this should never happen in the United States of America, ever, ever, ever again.
Well, and I really appreciate you coming on, and I talk to all our guests, but you're a regular, and it's so important that you're here. You're talking about reality, and also for our relatives to stay strong. So I just commend you for being on and being in community, and it's really important now more than ever, but you are anyways in the community, so it's a good thing. And to talk about the truth and really what's been going on, all the misinformation that goes out there, the 30% of these orange Trumpster followers are just sending out all this information. They seem to be very loud, but I know we are the majority, and people are seeing what's happening all around the world and the United States, and they're not liking it.
You're exactly right, Robert. And I think one of the perfect examples to what you just said, Robert, that we could point to is this weekend there was supposed to be a rally for white supremacists here in the Twin Cities, and 12 people showed up for him. And and so and actually there was an African American gentleman who basically saved him, and
Right.
there was two people that picked him up that didn't even know him that helped him get away, and they were just being good human beings is what they were being. But I think this just goes to show that a lot of what these individuals are saying is a lot of hype. They're just the loudest people in the room, but the majority of Americans are very happy with having this multicultural democracy and this beautiful, Robert, and I want to say it very loudly, this beautiful experiment that we have going on in this country. And and another thing I want to remind folks of is that here in Minnesota, we literally, Robert, have been protesting for the last 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you remember how this show started? It was Standing Rock and all the misinformation 10 years ago, and then we had the orange one again, and line 3, and then just this last year, how bad it's been in the state with the murders at the school, the murder of Susan Hortman and her husband. And I always want to bring up her dog too was killed, and now this this occupation. It's definitely. What's funny though, Bob, too, is that they don't really understand Minnesota because it's 20 below zero now, and they're occupying Minnesota.
Well, I heard that they had to go buy out all the jackets at Cabela's because they didn't have winter gear. They didn't have winter gear here for them, and so they're and like I said, here you go, Minnesota love right there, Minnesota love, and that's the point, Robert. Like, we are built different in the state. We are built different here in Minnesota, and I'm so proud of Minnesota right now. The way that we've been handling this, the way that we've been coming together as community, the way that we've been out there protesting, practicing our rights as U.S. citizens. Okay. Now, remember, everyone, we have the right to do this. These are in our laws. We are allowed to be out there protesting, and we are doing it peacefully. We're doing it non-violently. And I know for a fact that just eats them up to their core.
Exactly. And like what you just said, they brought this mega guy to rally up to 12 people, but also to start violence, and that's what we got to be aware of. And so I'm glad you brought up the point that we've been peaceful through this whole process, and we learned that from way back, whether it's Gandhi, whether it's Martin Luther King, or whether it's Standing Rock. We were peaceful protesters there too.
Yes, Robert, that is the truth. And that's what I was getting to, is that I don't believe that this administration really understands how organized we are here in Minnesota. And we are battle tested, you know? And when you come up against an opposition like that, that is organized, that has been doing this, that has the networks, you know, I don't even want to go through all the networks and all the messages that I get, but let me tell you something. We are organized, Robert. I will tell you that right now. And that's what this administration does not understand, or these agents from, you know, these different departments that are, you know, these goon squads, let's be honest, these goon squads, they don't understand how good Minnesota, and I also want to say too, Robert, that Minnesotans, you know, the educated populace we have, you know, we have so many colleges. This is why we have so many Fortune 500 companies here. This is why we have so many smart people that decide to stay here and raise their families after they come here, and they realize what a good life we have here. And I'll tell you what, that's the biggest thing about this administration, and what they are so jealous of is the fact that Minnesota does have, you know, all these great opportunities for folks to come on in here and be successful, raise a happy family, and the education that they can receive. I mean, we have everything here. So, you know, here's the thing. This is going to end one day, okay? And I'll tell you what, Minnesota's still going to be here. We're still going to be standing, and we're still going to be here for one another. And that's to me is going to be the beautiful thing about this. And I'll tell you what, all these guys that are in these goon squads in this administration are going to have to just go back to their miserable holes, crawl back into their miserable holes, where, you know, they have no relevance. And that's really what's going to happen, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always like to bring up the fact that, you know, Nixon didn't go to jail, but his attorney general did, and all those other people down the road. And so there will be a day of reckoning, and I hope I'm alive to see it, because this upside down world, and this can't happen again, and it's happening right now. And, you know, we haven't even really talked much about the Orange one talking about taking over an indigenous community, and taking, you know, just because he thinks he can. And then we did talk about, you know, NATO and how he's disrupting that. He's just, and then release the Epstein files. I put that on all the mega people's Facebook whenever they're riling up how corrupt Walz is.
Well, you know, that's the other thing too, Robert. Let's not forget those, you know, the folks down in Venezuela, Robert. You know, they're anti-imperialist. You know what I mean? The ones that are up there, the guerrillas that you know, the ones that live up there in the jungles that have like 10,000, 20,000, you know, trained, you know, individuals. Like, hey man, this is not going to be easy. Here's the other thing. The oil companies say, we don't want to invest billions of dollars into this infrastructure because, oh, you know, you're going to be gone, you know, in a couple of years. Okay, so where's the safety for us to put that type of investment into that type of infrastructure? Where are we going to be? So, you know, the whole thing with Venezuela, but let's not forget, he opens up an account in Qatar where he is funneling the money from these oil purchases into that account in Qatar. You know, and I'm telling you, Robert, this is going to be just like the Nazi hunters. We're going to have to go and hunt all these people down, and we're going to have to bring them to justice back here in this country. We didn't even talk about Greenland, Robert.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing about Greenland is that is a Putin play right there.
Right on. Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio with Bob Blake. Stay with. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Aho, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP. and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
And I'm Hadley.
We're two of the very first listeners, and we're
still listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Native Roots Radio, and we're here with Bob Blake, Solar Bear with the Solar News. And Bob, a couple things. We were talking about Greenland, and our Indigenous relatives in Greenland aren't going to have this, and NATO. And let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Robert. So essentially, what's happening here is, the president and this administration, right, is, and I feel very confident in saying this, everyone, has been compromised. The reason why I say that is because one of the main things that, Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, wanted to do was he wanted to dismantle NATO. And one of he could never get that done. And so that's always been the opposition to him over there in Eastern Europe. And the way that he's doing this now is he's using Trump and this administration to do it by, basically breaking that alliance by wanting to come in and invade Greenland. And so, we're talking about, just absolutely years of cooperation between European countries and the United States government. And this also goes back to too, Robert, the the Pacific Trade Agreement, right? That Obama and Hillary Clinton were putting together. A lot of people, that Trans-Pacific Agreement was all about keeping Russia and China in check, right? And so that they wouldn't go off the rails. And well, I'll tell you what, everyone, they're going off the rails. So the chess game that the Democrats play is all for very good reason, and it's for keeping the world safe. And that's what I think our listeners right now need to understand, that this president and this administration is ruining years of diplomatic negotiations, and basically, like a lot of these European countries have been saying lately, Robert, ruining the world order, essentially, is what this president's doing.
Hey, Trump thinks we need Greenland for national security, and I think we need a new president for national security. Let's talk a little bit about our relatives down here in St. Paul with backing down now on the hotel ICE and all that with Mille Lacs. That's been disturbing, but I feel like they're doing the good thing by closing up shop and doing a reboot.
I think it's a wonderful move. And, I don't think that I would support, having those individuals, in one of our hotels, right? But obviously I don't, want to put, too much, and judge, any one of our relatives and how they do their business. But I would just say that all money's not good money, right? And I would also say that money makes you do things you don't want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, and I know we talked about your brother who is heroic, and I grew up with a heroic police officer in Minneapolis, and we always talk well of him. And we know that there's good cops out there, and we also know that the community has been working with the Minneapolis police over the years of really rebooting them in a sense, in a good way, And again, I want to bring this up again, that all cops are not bad cops. There's mostly are good cops. But hey, Minneapolis Police Chief states that 24 of his officers have resigned and 18 of them are now working for ICE. What's your comment on that?
Those are 24 officers that the Minneapolis Police Department never needed anyways, and good riddance, and 18 of them, 18 of them have joined ICE, and we don't need them. And I'll tell you what, if they think that they're going to collect their $50,000 bonus, right, they have to serve in ICE for 5 years in order to be able to make sure that that is forgiven, gone away. And the other part about that, which by then we'll have a new president, and that's not going to happen because ICE will be abolished. But the other part about this is that Robert, this just goes to show the I guess the cleaning of the ranks that needed to happen in the Minneapolis Police Department. And so, like I said, I don't think that this is 18 officers that we never don't need to be wearing the badge anyways.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was looking something up here because I know we had Tom, Peggy's husband, on, and we were talking a little bit about this, and I want to make sure that I got this right, because Angie Craig has voted for ICE, and I want to bring that up really quick. She's one of the only Democrats, or was the only Democrat to vote for ICE and the Department of Homeland Security. So I know she's changing her tune, getting all out there, but again, our sister Peggy Flanagan needs our support because we need to really push the envelope, and we don't need somebody like Angie Craig getting the Democratic endorsement.
Yeah, listen, here's the bottom line. I don't think there's no one else going to be the Democratic endorsement, but our lieutenant governor, right? I think I think Angie should stay as a Congress woman in her district, and I don't think she has a chance at this, honestly. But I don't want to tell anybody what they can or can't do. I want everything to be fair and everybody to feel like they have a chance. But I just don't see her being our next senator. I see the lieutenant governor being our next senator. So, as far as that's concerned, her voting for ICE and I hope that she reconsiders that this next time around and would vote to abolish this, because we don't need this type of behavior in the way that these goon squads are acting right now, right? This is where it's come to. So,
well, and then I just also, with that in mind, too, remind everyone to go to the caucuses on February 3rd and caucus for the lieutenant governor. We don't need no flim-flam Angie Craig in there, and we have to get somebody in there that's strong, that speaks for the people and knows what the people are, and have been boots on the ground here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota for her whole political career.
Yeah, let's be honest. The lieutenant governor has been doing this her whole entire life, right? And I trust Peggy to do the right thing. She's in community. She comes to our community events. You see her at the plays. You see her at the coffee shops. You see her. She's approachable. She talks to you. Her daughter's the sweetest. Husband's a good guy. I don't think there's anything more that we could ask for in our next senator. And so I'm enthusiastic and excited to support the lieutenant governor, and can't wait for her to be sworn in.
30 seconds. Did that team get ripped off yesterday with that interception? I can't believe it.
Hey, I'll tell you this though, Robert. It was an amazing week of football, and I hope Sam Darnold gets his Super Bowl, and the Vikings regroup next year, and we come back strong, because it's going to be a tough division.
Wow, there's the Solar Bear, and with Solar News and Sports, we got it in there. Big Peeny Gigi Bob, we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you so much for coming on Native Roots Radio. Hey, we'll see everyone tomorrow. This is Native.